Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to Ed Up on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is Dr. Joe Sallusti. I can't even say my last name. That's how much I've been talking here at Ellucian Live 2025 in Orlando, Florida. Let me try that again. This is Dr. Joe Sallustio. That's me. This is not the first podcast I have done of the day. I have not done that many, but I have been in the inaugural President's Council here at eLive, so I have been talking all day for the last 48 hours without stopping, on repeat. Even in my sleep, I'm presenting. So I'm just talking nonstop. Nobody else wants to hear me talk. Chris, you've been talking a little bit too, so I think you have a new appreciation for how hard it is to talk all day on podcasts.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I'll just leave it there. Pretty tired, but happy to do it, Joe. Happy to do it.
I've never heard you talk with that much. You've usually talked more, I should say, but you're a man of few words right now.
I promise I will say at least a few words.
How many podcasts have you done today, Chris?
I think we've done 5 today, 6 today, similar yesterday.
You look like I would look if I had done that.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough.
I'm sure.
But amazing conversations, and we have one last set of guests for you, special guests. The great news is they are as tired as we are. So you never know what's going to happen in this episode. They got their steps in just like we did. Ladies and gentlemen, we have John and Jenay from EDUCAUSE. What's going on, you guys?
We are tired. We're repeating ourselves.
Yes, but that's
Our
okay.
ability to string together sentences may also be tested.
Well, let's see how well you do with your own self-introductions.
I'm John O'Brien. I've been the president of EDUCAUSE for 10 years or so, and it's been an adventure. And I think everybody hopefully knows a little bit about EDUCAUSE, but we are the nonprofit association for anybody who works in technology or has the word technology in their job title or their position description, or just loves technology and is nerding out and excited about it.
There's a lot of people that do that these days. Jenay?
I'm Jenay Robert. I'm a senior researcher at EDUCAUSE. I've been with EDUCAUSE for almost 4 years now, and I like to get into all sorts of trouble here, doing things like horizon reports, AI landscape studies. If it has technology and higher ed in it, I've got my hands on it, hopefully.
Okay, John, well, let's start us off and say, let's just assume that there's somebody who doesn't really fully understand what EDUCAUSE does. If you could give us the quick 2-minute sort of elevator to describe what EDUCAUSE does for the community in higher education.
Yeah, if you're a dentist, you affiliate with the American Dental Association, and you go there for support, events, research, community, and that's what we are for anybody who works in higher education and cares about technology or leads technology or supports technology. And, you go back to the start of EDUCAUSE, 25 years ago, when we merged two organizations that had been around for several decades prior to that. And in our history, we were very CIO-focused, but now technology has sort of insinuated itself across campus. We have researchers, we have institutional researchers, we have instructional designers, and we have faculty. And again, anybody who is excited or skeptical or interested in how technology is transforming higher education. Our new vision statement is inspiring the transformation of higher education in service to a greater good, and that's what we're about.
You also do a lot of research.
Yeah.
Tell me about this Horizon Report business that you're involved in.
You say it as though you don't know anything about it.
I am saying that as if I know quite a bit about it. Yes. In fact, I am going through the process myself here.
Exactly. You're on the panel.
I am on that. Yes, I am.
Yes.
See, we're all connected, and sometimes you don't even know it until you sit down.
It's a small world, as they say here in Orlando.
So tell us about the research function at EDUCAUSE and the Horizon Report, what you do.
Yeah, so the Horizon Report is just one of the many research reports we put out every year, but a Horizon Report looks at what might higher ed look like 10 years from now? And that gets to be a very difficult question, and that's why we bring in people like you. We bring in a large panel of experts from across.
If you didn't bring me in, you would never know. I'm the only one that can answer this question.
That's why we reached out to you.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that on a recording. No, that's okay. I have no idea what I'm doing in higher education anymore. It's fine.
Yeah,
neither does most of the industry, by the way.
And when we're done, I need some investment advice, by the way. You've got that eye towards the future. But yeah, so we look at what are the current trends that are happening today, what are the key technologies and practices that people are excited about today, and how might those shape the future? And more importantly, how can we think about potential versions of the future and then put the power in the hands of our community to create the future they want to see?
Let me ask John you one more question, then Chris, I'll pass it to you to see if you get any words out of those that tongue that's when you're really tired. John, institutions sometimes don't understand how to transform. They don't understand what to do first. You have frameworks, you have advice where you literally can go and say, okay, go to EDUCAUSE. They have a model for that you could look at to do this, like literally layman's terms on how to move from A to B, which I think many institutions need because they may not be thinking about it.
Well, transformation is one of those words that, I think kind of started off as what we might have called sort of corporate speak, corporate jargon.
Yeah.
And then we brought it into EDUCAUSE and we brought together our community and defined what digital transformation meant. And then we invested our staff resources and our research reports on thinking about, well, what is digital transformation and what does it mean? And now we're doing a similar thing with AI. And so we had the digital transformation self-assessment and roadmap. The thing about transformation is it's more important to just know where you're going and to know where you are. I mean, where you are toward where you're going is subject to change, but we want to help our institutions understand where are you. And so the AI self-assessment that we have recently done in partnership with AWS involves a self-assessment that an individual can take on behalf of an institution and answer the questions and figure out, well, where are we? And then more importantly, where are we going to go in this transformation journey? And then that's where we come in and provide resources to help you get there.
Is it like the first step of knowing that you're not transforming is to take a self-assessment to know that you assess yourself? Because I think there's a, sorry, I said I was going to let you ask questions.
Let's go with it, bro.
Is there a feeling that sometimes when the technology gets further and further away from you, it's just harder and harder to adopt transformation because it seems more daunting and more daunting as every year goes by?
I think I've been doing this for a while, so it used to be you bought your way into transformation. If we've learned anything over the last decade, it's that buying a product is first step, but it's buy-in, it's leadership from the top, it's support from the organization writ large, it's working with the right stakeholders. I'll give one example. So when we were doing work as part of a partnership with the Gates Foundation around student advising, and we did research along with that and found that a majority of the committees that were making decisions about student advising platforms didn't really include students or faculty.
Well,
and you
there
would
you go.
say, wow, how are you going to do that if you don't include the right people? So, buying something is easy. Getting institutional buy-in, knowing where you're at, what your barriers are, where you want to be, do you have the right people at the table? Those are the bigger, more persistent questions. And so I think that's what we're trying to take on in the work we do, the research we do, and the commitment we make to support our members.
EDUCAUSE is such a trusted advisor to so many stakeholders across higher ed. I've known EDUCAUSE for a long time. At my former organization, we engage with you guys in a lot of different ways. You hear a lot as a trusted advisor in that association world and role. I'm just curious where you're hearing points of friction, challenge, anxiety, pain. Let's go into that a little. Let's unpack some of that you're picking up.
Well, if we
Unpack the pain for us, John.
We set aside the events of the last few months.
Okay, let's do it.
But Jenay has helped me understand from the AI landscape study she led for 2025. One of the pain points we're hearing a lot about is sort of polarization around AI on campus. I mean, so 2022 it was like, golly gee, this is cool. 2023, 24, now we're moving into a different stage, and people understand this is an inevitability, and they're starting to worry about, workforce. What does this mean? And they're not finding easy answers satisfying enough on that. That's a pain point, agitation point, worry point. We're also seeing, and this is illustrated in our research findings, that faculty are getting kind of polarized, that there are some faculty who are excited about this and think this is going to enhance learning and all of that. And then others who are deeply skeptical and not without cause with, some of the darker potential futures So, but that's become kind of a hot button on campus these days that we're hearing quite a bit about.
No doubt. I'm not surprised to hear that. Just the other day, I think it was Middle States Commission on Higher Education dropped some guidance for higher ed institutions around policy and
on
governance.
AI governance.
AI, which is, I guess, going to be a catalyst to move now and at least do some things relative to policy and governance. So
one other pain point I would just say, too, and you just can't ask that question and not have the words cybersecurity and privacy in an answer, because as I shared at the panel I was on here at eLive, we have research findings that show that our experts in our community are worried about our posture relative to cybersecurity and privacy. In fact, 2024 research findings said that only 8% of respondents to our study said that they felt that our the guardrails and the protections are in place that are adequate. Only 8% said we're in a sort of a positive place right now.
I'll add to that in the 2025 study, we had 30 respondents to that study that were from within cybersecurity and privacy areas, and not one of them out of 30 said that their policies and guidelines were adequate to address AI-related risks.
That's not concerning at all.
Not at all. and a pretty clear connection back to AI as well, and the concerns over data and privacy.
Well, AI just adds an exclamation point on everything, including worries, fears, frustrations, lamentations. Yeah.
What about the research piece? How reliant is the industry on the research coming out of EDUCAUSE? I know they are in a very positive way because it helps them move forward. Do you feel, does the team feel pressure to pump out greater amounts of research? Are there requests for studies? How do you commission? How do you decide?
Oh gosh, we are all such excited, dedicated people across EDUCAUSE, but within the research team, we're so excited about the research we're doing. We don't really feel pressure externally as much as we feel it from ourselves.
They put it on themselves. I mean, our reach always exceeds our grasp, and we want to do. It's probably the single biggest. I'm not saying this live on the internet, am I? It's the single biggest challenge of EDUCAUSE is we want to do so much, and we end up painting ourselves into a capacity corner that's painful.
Does that happen because insights come to you from previous studies, or because you get to an institution that comes to you and goes, wow, this was really great, but I'd really love to see something on this, and all of a sudden you're doing a new technology study on something
Actually,
else.
You're getting at a real pain point, which is like once you do one study, like the 2024 AI landscape study, now we're doing now are we locked in? Are we going to do that for all of time? And
forever.
And we have these products. It's hard for us to release any of our beloved projects but there's so much to do. We just have to figure out. I'll just say one. You asked earlier about research. One of the things I'm proudest of in how we changed our research that really started in COVID was doing quick polls. And because more and more, like the long form research that everybody values so much because of its credibility is important. But then we also need answers.
It's also long.
Now it's also long, and it takes time. And given how quickly things are changing now, if it takes you 4 months to design, release, author, and analyze, now who knows think of 3 months ago and where we were at. So we're kind of becoming ambidextrous, both doing the important, critical, longer form research, but then also figuring out a quick poll that's released on a Tuesday, and we have answers
I can move
on
from
a Friday.
A research question to a finished report within 6 business days, really, with what we can do at EDUCAUSE. And that's the strength of the team. It's not because of me.
It's interesting that I just literally thought of this because it happened to me not too long ago. Now that you have AI, now that we're using AI sometimes for search and its sources, I'm seeing a lot of EDUCAUSE material being sourced when I go and I prompt for digital transformation information, where not that wouldn't have happened in a normal search and you would have had the EDUCAUSE Horizon report or something like that, and I probably would have clicked on it anyway. But when it brings that research into a collated response that I can turn around and use, it's really extending the reach of your information as you talk about how to extend the reach of what we're after in higher education. It's sort of like an ironic situation, isn't it?
Oh, my bot's going to talk to your bot, and the EduBot will talk to the Ellucian bot.
I could use a bot that was talking right now.
I'm still
I have
waiting.
To be honest.
Boy, do I need a bot.
Is there a coffee bot around here?
Yeah, there's a
I've always known EDUCAUSE is such a great place to go for tools and resources and methodologies and insights on that. How do you all make that determination of what you're going to prioritize and put out there, and then how do you keep evolving that?
Yeah, well, we've heard. I mean, we've done member surveys for forever, and always the number one thing is it's the networking. It's coming together, gathering virtually or otherwise, and connecting with other members is the top thing. But what we're hearing more and more in real time is people want concrete. They want case studies. They want to hear from other people who have implemented certain things. And so that is an emerging priority for us.
I want to underscore what John is saying about what we're hearing. And that answers multiple questions you've asked today, which is how do you source research questions? How do you decide the next tool you're going to work on? We are really in touch with our members. So when I'm here at eLive, I'm talking to members. When I'm at our annual conference, which is coming up in Nashville in October, I hope I see you all there, I'm talking to our members and I'm saying, what's on your mind? What's keeping you up at night? And those are the things that drive the work, not this is what Jenay thinks is important this week. This is what John thinks is important this week. But it's really that collaboration with our members.
Yeah, and I keep hearing that as well. And Joe, you probably do too. I think people are so desperate, in particular because of the layering on of AI right now and the intensity that people feel around having to act and move forward on that issue. What are other people doing? What are my peers doing over here? How should I find out, where can I find policy guidance, strategy guidance, all of those kinds of things? So obviously EDUCAUSE is well positioned to help fill that void. But I also think EDUCAUSE can advocate for that collaborative engagement. There's an undertone of competition always in higher education, but I think really we're a collaborative industry at heart, and we've got a lot of people who understand that, and I think that's just a great opportunity.
Everybody's overwhelmed. The whole AI move, where you talk to somebody about AI and then they send you an email with 50 links of things, and it's like, this is not helpful. I mean, maybe in 2022 that was helpful, but now we need curated lists. We need somebody to say, what's the thing we should be doing? Help us navigate our way through this complicated, and that's where we're trying to be more and more relevant.
You mentioned your annual conference, which I know is growing. I know your membership is growing, and I think I said it, I was doing a main stage panel yesterday, and
is that when the power went out?
That was when the power went out.
You handled that like a pro.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. As much as for the audience that listens to this, while we were doing the president panel, I had 3 college presidents I was interviewing. The fire alarm went off, and what was a very dark room where you don't see the audience and the snickers, and bad faces they make when you're talking. All of a sudden, the lights go on, and there's about 5,000 people there. And every time I speak, I'm getting the bad looks, and I'm like, this is a whole lot more uncomfortable than I thought. Anyway,
you forgot the sirens.
The sirens were going off. But the group dynamics were incredible when you think about how many people didn't get up.
Nobody.
And then if just one of the college presidents stood up, it would have created a domino effect. I mean, it was really fascinating. But kudos to those presidents for just rolling right through. And that is just a good example of what we're dealing with in higher education. It's disruption. It's unexpected. But there is a direct link between the student experience and the digital experience. It is forever interwoven. You cannot do that separately. It's together forever. And, EDUCAUSE helps us understand what to do next. And that's an important part of what you do to both create community and also give us some pathways where we can approach this and think about the future of higher ed.
And there's places where that comes together. So we have an offering that we developed in partnership with RenISEC and Internet 2 years ago, but it's called HECVAT, which is truly an acronym only a mother could love.
HECVAT.
HECVAT. But if you Google it, it's the only thing you'll find. HECVAT. It's Higher Education Community Vendor Assessment Tool.
You're not that tired if you remember that.
I know. I don't know. I dragged that from a very dark place.
Well practiced.
But that's an example. So, what that is a tool developed by our community. Members came together and said, rather than everybody reinventing the wheel every time we go to buy a product, and we want to know what are the 30, I made that up, questions that we need to be asking around cybersecurity and privacy, and in the recently released HECVAT 4.0 AI. And so that's where our community comes together and creates something that saves everybody time, everybody work, makes us all better. And actually, the industry partners, our vendors love it because they don't love having to have every RFP ask different questions if we can. So I think we're realizing as we move to yet another adventure of do more with less, that we're going to have to find ways to come together, and that's our sweet spot. That's what we're good at. So the future's bright for an organization like ours.
I love it. And tell us, though, from the users, from the members, is there trepidation around technology right now? I mean, AI, let's call it AI, upgrading technology. serving students with greater functionality with technology? Are we nervous about it as an industry? Are we, fearful, uncertain, confident? Where are we on a spectrum?
Well, and you can comment on this. I'll just do the headline, which is I think our 2025 AI landscape study says both. It shows our members the majority of them are optimistic about AI, and it also says the majority of them have pretty persistent concerns. So it's possible it's higher ed, so we can keep two contrary ideas in our head at the same time.
Always.
And I think some of that will shake out, but I think that's going to be a combination of dynamic that's going to be with us for a while. But Jenay, you know more about
No,
that.
it's really a mix of caution and enthusiasm. And for many of us, it's both at the same time. And that's not a comfortable place to be as humans. We like things to be either good or bad, right? Like we don't like the in-between spaces. So, and yet that's what it is. And I think the data from the landscape studies in particular is really validating for some of those affective reactions that we're having, those emotional responses we're having to say, oh, it really is that we're optimistic about a lot of really great opportunities. It really is that we're concerned about a lot of really important and serious risks. And so those data are quite validating, I think, for the community.
Did you say cautious enthusiasm? Because if you did, I have to say that this episode has been pretty good. So I'm cautious about continuing it further with how tired we are. But I am enthusiastic to ask you a final question, John, which is, what else do you want to add about EDUCAUSE that you would like the audience to know that they may not know already?
I'll say this, that one of the things we're amazed by again and again is how many people don't know they're EDUCAUSE members. So, a lot of nonprofit associations have individual membership that you would pay for, and then you'd know you're a member because you paid for it. But EDUCAUSE is one of those organizations where your college, your university, your medical school, your organization is a member, and if your organization is a member, you have access to everything we do, and we do a lot. We haven't touched on one of the big superpowers we have is convening, as I've said, and we have community groups. We have over 70 of them at this point, I think. Looking for Jenay to nod one way or another, where we have a community group on AI. It's the fastest growing community group. It went from 60 to 1,000 over a blink. And so that's how we bring our community together around hot topics. And so if you're wondering about this EDUCAUSE thing, first of all, you might already be a member, so check.
And you just might be. In probability states you might be.
I think so. We have over 1,700 colleges and universities that are members, so there's a good chance you are. But then look at the community groups. Find out where your people are. Find out where the topics that keep you up at night or excite you are located, and be part of our conversation. And if you're not a member, talk to us about what that involves. We can help with that.
I will say that the working relationship between the two of you seems to be powerful, because it's a joy to see a CEO come up with probably a fairly accurate number, but then look to the research to go, exactly how many? Can you verify that for me? So it seems you guys are working very well together. It's a true CEO researcher relationship. I love it. You guys are great together. Ladies and gentlemen, we have John and Jenay from EDUCAUSE. Where do we go if we want to find out more about EDUCAUSE?
www.educause.edu.
There you go. And ladies and gentlemen, you know what you have done on this very last podcast of the day here at eLive Ellucian 2025. I can't talk anymore. You've just ed-upped.